Well, friends, today on the Pro-Life Podcast, the feds are grasping at straws, and amazing things are happening in South Texas, and Nancy is big mad. So, we need to talk. Let's get started, guys. Happy Tuesday, Pro-Life family. Welcome to the table. Grab your coffee. It's been an interesting week. First, I need to introduce my friends around the table. Kim Schwartz, Veronica Arnold-Smither, and Emily Cook. Awesome people. I love these people. We've been having a lot of fun here before we started this.
We have.
So I'm trying to kind of mentally gather because I need to calm down some of my jokes. So the Biden administration is trying something in an executive order to try and re-legalize abortion, which they admit they cannot do.
It's a shocking turn of events because this is one of the few times that Joe Biden has realized there's a constitution. And
And it has some limits?
It does. And there are limits on what a president has authority to do. And so I thought that this was going to be kind of like what he did with the vaccine mandate by like ruling by executive order, and then like the CDC somehow regulating rent and evictions and stuff like that. So trying to use like the bureaucracy to govern, but shockingly, Joe Biden has realized that there are some things he can't do. I think this is news to us all, especially to him. So good on him. So the far left has been pressuring him since Roe v. Wade was overturned to do something to reinstate abortion in states that have banned it, like Texas. And Joe Biden surprisingly keeps saying, I don't have that authority. Like, I did not know that was in his vocabulary. Did y'all?
Yeah. Wow, somebody fed him that line, and I'm kind of happy about it.
End of quote. Repeat the line.
End of quote.
If you didn't see that in his speech, he's reading the teleprompter, and it says, end of quote. Repeat the line.
Can somebody reboot the Biden bot?
Yes.
Oh, it's the best GIF ever.
So good. GIF.
Okay, sorry, GIF.
That's it. Yeah. Anyway, so Biden has now realized somebody told him that there are some things he cannot do. And so he's saying we need Congress to pass a law that says abortion is legal everywhere, which they can't do that either. We can talk about that in a second. So Joe Biden on Friday signed an executive order to protect abortion access, they say, and reproductive rights. And they're saying that this is mostly just like an educational thing where he's like, we're going to educate women, make sure they have information on the medication abortion and how safe it is and how great it is, which is, baloney. So that's your taxpayer dollars at work. There is a provision that is going to try to create a pro bono network of attorneys to protect women who might be prosecuted for seeking abortion legally in places where it's legal. And it's like, I don't really know how necessary that is.
Is it to help protect is it to defend women or abortion doctors?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like, I don't really know how necessary that was. Basically, both the right and the left agree that this is just a big nothing burger of an exequitive order.
That's your new catchphrase?
Yes, it is.
I like
and so Joe Biden...
So they admit there's nothing that they can do in states that
Yes.
states that have banned abortion, like Texas.
However, there is one part that's kind of like the question mark. And if you put the question mark on the teleprompter, Joe Biden's going to read it just like Ron Burgundy.
Mark.
Yes.
Repeat
I'm
the
Ron
line.
Burgundy. Okay, anyways. So there were a bunch of like nothing parts, just symbolic in this executive order. But one thing that he did was order the Department of Health and Human Services to investigate how they can protect access to medication abortion and report back to him in 30 days. So the HHS is going to find out what they can do to force states to provide abortion, then like within the next 30 days report back to Joe Biden. So I think that if there's going to be anything here, they're going to try to make an HHS requirement that says we, the federal agency, say that medication abortion must be available in all states. But here's the conundrum for Joe Biden. The Supreme Court got him again, not just on Roe v. Wade, but y'all heard about the recent EPA ruling and stuff like that?
Yep.
So the left is also mad about that. Now they're going to be extra mad about that, which I'm okay with. So if HHS comes back and says all right, medication abortion has to be available in all states. This is what the HHS does.
I like your HHS impersonation.
Thank you.
Yes,
Yes.
humbug.
Yes, that's what the HHS says all the time. So a federal agency ruling is different than, or a federal agency regulation is different than a law passed by Congress.
Correct.
Thank you, Emily. Yes.
Confirmed by a lawyer.
Yes. So if it's different if the federal agency says oh, we're just going to make all these things. They're trying to rule from the executive branch. They're trying to basically legislate and act as if these are laws. And first of all, a federal regulation, unless it is directly approved by Congress, can't override state laws. So
It's about time somebody said that.
yeah, and so that was echoed in the recent EPA ruling from the Supreme Court. So we already had a law in Texas that says hey, we're doing our own thing, about medication abortion. It doesn't matter what the FDA says. We are making sure that women are not taking these unsafely. We're making sure that you can't just kill your baby with a click of the button kind of thing, ordering the mail order abortions. So we kind of separated ourselves off from whatever the FDA says anyways. And now if HHS does come out in the future with saying oh yeah, abortion needs to be available in every state, we've already drawn that line and said no, you guys can't touch us with this because we have our own state law. So if the federal agency, if HHS passes or puts out these new regulations, they're not going to do anything in Texas unless they are directly approved by Congress. So
Interesting.
yeah.
When all this humbug comes up about whose law has more authority or regulations over laws or et cetera, it makes me think about how people gain power. It's really about how someone perceives if someone has power over you or not. There's so much of a psychological factor there about whether or not someone has power over you. If you believe that someone has power over you, well, now they do.
Then you're going to
now they have
act
power
they have
over you.
power over
And
you.
so it's so important. Can I just make a plug for ourselves and our lawyer? It is so important to have pro-life lawyers and experts decipher all this crap.
Yes.
Because
Mumbo
then they can
jumbo.
say, no, let me remind you, these people have no authority over you. You have rights. You can protect your rights. You do not have to follow their ridiculous rules that actually have no meaning. And that is so important. So, stay tuned as always to make sure you know what's actually really going on and who really has authority to do all this stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's actually not about caring about people and laws?
No, it's just about gaining power.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Isn't it sad how this culture of death has just ingrained into our... They are obsessed. They are obsessed with killing children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
I don't understand the
heartbreaking.
obsession.
Yeah. I think we talked a little bit about this week. We talked a little bit about this last week about how, the celebrities are all up in arms about how oh no, women are losing their rights and I don't have control over my own body. And we talked about how these celebrities have all of the resources in the entire world. If anybody can, become unexpectedly pregnant and then raise a child and still flourish and have everything that they need, it's those celebrities. But I think that it's this mindset of not just that I can't have a baby, it's I don't want to sacrifice my whatever I want for the needs of this child. I just don't want to.
Yeah. It's self-centeredness. And people have forgotten that, we as a species depend on each other, and that's a good thing. We have duties and responsibilities toward each other, and that's a good thing. But a lot of people have twisted it to view it as a negative. It's I don't want to raise a child because it's a burden. I'm like, that burden is beautiful.
Yeah.
And then one day you're going to be a burden on them when you're old, and that's been twisted into a negative thing too. But it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing to share that burden because it's love.
That's what I was going to say.
I mean, sorry for sounding cheesy, but that's just what it is.
Yep.
It's just
that's
love.
reflective. That's reflective of how we treat and view the people who are sick or who are disabled or who are elderly. It's just, well, you're not, what can you give me, not what can I do for you?
Yeah.
And so that's why when people use reasonings for abortion, they're like, well, I mean, I'm apathetic reasons. Like I mean, I would never I'm personally pro-life, but it should be a woman's choice. I'm like, okay, no, you're not understanding this picture of how if we devalue life in the womb and say there's other external factors that make that determine whether you get to live versus whether you get to live, that is applied inside and outside the womb.
Yeah, it's permeating everything about our society. It's not just like, oh, you over there have a different right than me. It's like, no, if one person's not protected, then nobody's protected.
Exactly. Yeah. And just imagine, like, you know, people say, especially with the left right now, saying like, oh, well, this child's going to be a burden. But then they'll turn around and say like, well, why don't you take care of people who are homeless and people who are in foster care and all these other things? And where it's like, are they not burdens as well? Like, if you're going to say it's okay to kill this child because they're going to be a burden, like, yes, taking care of anybody who has any degree of need is going to be a burden, and that's not a bad thing. It is good for us, and it is good for the person who's in need if we help them.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Spread the love, man.
Exactly. And I want to clarify something real quick too. It's like most women who have abortions are not this like the selfish mindset that we were talking about. Well, it's I just don't want to. It's because they're scared and they don't know what to do, and society has told them like, this is how you make your life better. And then it comes and backfires, and women regret abortion. And, that can come at different stages in life, but it's just heartbreaking, and it's something that you can't undo.
Yeah, there's no women of childbearing age who grew up outside of the Roe v. Wade world. Like, this is accurate. All of our lives. This has been the way of things.
Yeah.
And we've been fed this script of, well, this is how you deal with becoming an adult and succeeding in life and whatever. And it's like, no. No.
Oof. It's amazing to think about what the next generation, what their mentality will be like. Because, like, I have a daughter. I know my daughter is only a year old, but she's going to grow up in a post-Roe America. And I'm really intrigued, honestly, to see what that's going to look like and how many people are there going to be who will fight against it, but she'll be able to say, like, I grew up in this world. And it's so weird. We were in a Costco the other day, and I saw this woman wearing a shirt that said, abortion is healthcare, abortion is healthcare, abortion is like 10 times in rainbow colors on her shirt.
Oh, good.
And I was like, oh, that was unexpected, but oh well. And we didn't even communicate, but I was like, okay, this is everywhere. You know, people are so upset about it, but what's it going to be like for our kids when they get a little older? Are things going to calm down? Or is this going to be their battle for their whole life to protect what, you know, the framework that we've laid, that the pro-life movement has laid over the last few decades? You know, I wonder what that battle is going to look like for our kids. Yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah. But just like y'all said, the script is still there. I think that there's this big misconception that like, oh, Roe v. Wade is overturned. Like, y'all are done, right? And I mean, how many of y'all have heard that within the last couple of weeks? I think there is this understanding that people know there's something else to do, but they don't know what it is.
Stay tuned next week.
Yeah.
We're going to have a special guest to talk just about that from a pregnancy center. She's going to talk about exactly what they do and how you can help.
Yeah, it's
awesome.
We're
in a defensive mode now. We're playing defense instead of offense.
Yeah, and so I think that there's still going to be that script there. So Roe v. Wade was overturned, but you still have people who abortion has been just so ingrained in their narrative, in their belief about the world of like me and what I'm going to accomplish and what I want with my life, and not stopping to think like, I need to take care of other people. I have a responsibility to other people. And so there's that script of like, you still need abortion. It's still there.
Well, they're also being lied to and told that they just lost a constitutional right.
Oh, yes.
Right.
Joe Biden
It's like-
himself.
Free
Newsflash.
speech is next, and ladies, your right to vote. That's
Yes.
going to go away too.
And
Apparently.
Clarence Thomas is going to vote to end interracial marriage, is what I'm told.
Oh my.
Because he's a racist.
So
How?
if you're not
How?
watching this on YouTube, I'm like vigorously taking my hands to let me
Yes,
jump in here.
Okay.
So, it drives me bonkers when people are saying, it's a constitutional right, and the Supreme Court just took away a constitutional right. No. They said it was never there to begin with.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
Which has, since the moment Roe v. Wade was handed down in 1973, that was the criticism, because they had to, not only is it not in the text of the Constitution, but then the right to privacy that it is founded upon itself is not found in the text of the Constitution.
Yes. Yeah.
And then we get to abortions. Like, do you see all of
We
the
invented a lot of things to
Yeah.
to get
Right.
there? Okay, so it is not the same as right to vote. Women, you that is
Right.
actually in the Constitution.
Yes.
It's an amendment. And what was the other one you said? Freedom of speech.
Freedom of speech.
Oh,
That's
that's
it.
the
That's-
first one.
This is the
Yeah.
first
It's the First
one.
Amendment.
So,
it's
we
definitely in there.
We don't have to envision 2 steps removed to find it in the Constitution. Those things are right there. And so, just please.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, this is crazy.
Argue fairly.
I was
Thank
talking to
you.
a student about a year ago, a student in a pro-life group, and he was very confused about this exact topic. He was saying things like he's very pro-life and wanted to overturn Roe v. Wade and wanted abortion to become unthinkable and all this, but he was like, it's going to be so hard because it's a constitutional right, and I just don't know how we're going to do this. And I was like, whoa, hang on a second. I like put my burger down because we were eating.
A real burger,
And I was like,
not a nothing burger.
not a nothing burger. I put it down and I was like, can you say it again? And he was like, well, it's a constitutional right. So, this is going to be really tricky. Like, maybe we're going to have to change the Constitution. And I was like, wait a second. Where did you learn that? And he said, my professors. And I'm totally going to call out the school, Trinity University.
Oh,
And
whoa.
I said-
wait. They're a private, Catholic school, aren't
They're
they? Okay.
no, they're definitely not a religious school anymore. They are in name only, but it's super
Are
liberal.
they a private school or a public school?
Yeah, it's a private
Okay.
school.
But
And,
I'm sure the parents are thinking they're sending their child to a
Correct.
Christian
right,
school.
no,
Right.
it's a facade. And so I told
Do
him,
your homework, guys.
your professors are lying to you. It's not a constitutional right, and that's good news. It's actually going to be easier for us to ban abortion because of that. And he was like, no, it's a constitutional right. And I had to.
To be
I
fair,
had
it
to-
was labeled a constitutional right.
well, yeah,
It's-
but the media's been lying.
We've said
but
it
this is
so
a-
many times,
But
everybody
this is
thinks
like
it's
a
true.
pro-life activist who was led to believe this lie, and it confuses. So it's amazing to think about. Yeah, sure, it's easy for a pro-choice person who's following a lot of pro-choice media to be fed this lie, but it got even to the pro-life activists.
Yeah. It's
And
just
so
everywhere.
I had to help him figure out the truth, and that was just crazy.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg has even said that Roe was wrongly decided.
Yeah.
So for all these people who are like, oh, but abortion was a constitutional right, now it's not.
Ruth sent us.
Yes,
I'm like, wait a minute.
Ruth sent
Have
us
you
here.
read what Ruth actually said about this?
Yeah.
So that goes, if you are intellectually honest on both sides of the issue, everyone has agreed that the way the court arrived, whether you agree that abortion should be available and on demand in every state, whether you agree with that or not, they all agreed that it was not there
way
for
they
the
got
court
there.
anyways.
Yeah.
It was not the court's jurisdiction, a federal judiciary's jurisdiction to do that, but also it was literally made up. So that's where the criticism has been forever and ever. And so you're not taking away a right. This Supreme Court had said, look, we're looking back at how this decision was arrived at in 1973. It was so egregiously wrong. There is no right to abortion in the Constitution, and we're moving on, people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fight about it somewhere else.
You're going to love Joe Biden so much more after I say this. That's sarcasm. You're going to be even more
Oh, dear.
wondering
What
how
did he
this
say?
man is here. So whenever he was signing this executive order from Friday, he was talking about how wrong the new Supreme Court ruling was in Dobbs versus Jackson, and how the Supreme Court in looking at reversing Roe, they said they looked at this document from 200 years ago and saw that abortion wasn't in our history 200 years ago. And they just relied on that from 200 years ago. How could they do that? And it's like, that's what they're supposed to do. That is their job.
It's called constitutionalism.
Yes,
That's hilarious.
So he was criticizing them. Like, I think everybody recognizes, like, there is no abortion in the Constitution itself. So then if it's not in the text of the Constitution, you look at what was the history from what was just kind of common sense, common law, from whenever the, founding of the nation. Yes,
when the Constitution was drafted.
Yes, when the Constitution was drafted, like, was abortion just like everywhere in the colonies? And it's like, no, it wasn't. And so he's criticizing them for doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. And he said this, like, I really encourage you, go back and look at his speech from Friday where he says, end of quote, repeat the line. And we're not letting that go. And it's just so mind-boggling that he's like, and multiple people, like, whenever you have a speech from the White House, it's not just like he's ad-libbing this. I don't know if he can ad-lib stuff. I don't know if he's allowed to.
But it goes through several layers.
Yes.
And so, one of the points, if you really want to go back and to dive into more of this topic about the ruling itself, we did a podcast on it a couple weeks ago called Overturning Roe. Is that the name of the title? So I'd encourage you to go back and look at it and listen to it.
One more thing. I know we're about to run out of time on this segment here, but so on Friday, Joe Biden put out his executive order. That's a nothing burger. And, he was trying to appease the far left who have been yelling at him. They even protested outside of the White House and hung their bras on the fence of the White House.
Highly effective.
Yes. So we've got that executive order from Friday, and I think Joe Biden hoped that would kind of silence the far left so that way they wouldn't keep asking him and, like, pretending that he can do stuff. So then on Friday, the White House said, the far left activists have been saying, you should declare a public health emergency. And then the president has more power, because whenever you have an emergency, you have to give more power to all those people who are in charge, right? So they're saying if you declare a public health emergency, which for reference, the last public health emergency was when COVID broke out. And
that turned out perfectly.
Yes. Oh, no. Just like that. Veronica spilled her drinks, so
Scusi.
Party foul. Anyways, okay, so on Friday, the White House said we don't think it's a good idea to declare a public health emergency for abortion for a couple reasons. They said there's not a lot of money in that fund that would be able, allow people to do things. Then
it's okay. They can just print more money, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh dear. Let's not give them more.
Keep going.
True. Finish your thought.
Okay. Didn't think about that one. And then the other reason is that it really wouldn't do anything different than what I talked about the federal agencies putting out regulations and how those can't override state laws anyways. So even if the White House said on Friday, even if we declared a public health emergency, it wouldn't really do anything. So that doesn't seem like a good idea.
Right. So
basically ruling that out on Friday. On Sunday, Joe Biden is riding his bike. And so, moment of silence for that. Joe Biden is riding his bike on Sunday, and he stops, and a reporter asks him, are you considering declaring a public health emergency to expand abortion? And he said, my administration is looking into that. So either no one told him on Friday that they ruled it out and he doesn't know what's going on in his administration, or he's still trying to cater to the far left. I don't know what other...
Or he just forgot.
That's true.
Sleepy
That's
Joe.
That's scary.
So he's going to
That's
give us a
very-
nothing burger with extra cheese.
Maybe. Yeah. That sounds like the direction that he's going after there. But if they do take that extra step of trying to get HHS to put out a regulation to kind of make the medication abortion, the chemical abortion pill, available in states where abortion is banned, that might work in some states, but it's definitely not going to work in Texas.
Yep.
You know how sometimes people talk about how it has to get worse before it gets better? Maybe that's why Joe Biden is president.
Oh.
Maybe that's maybe this is like the perfect thing.
True.
Just like let everybody get a taste of absolute chaos for just like a couple of years, and then someone else is gonna help us clean it up. Maybe that's my hope.
The Lord
Because
works
it's
in
crazy
mysterious
right
ways.
now.
Gas can go down. That'd be great.
I would just have to say it's extremely obvious that God did this because this administration was not going to do this.
Yeah.
This administration, this seems like the perfect storm for us to not overturn Roe, but yet it happened.
Yep.
So it's very
Praise the
obvious God did this.
Yeah.
True.
That's great.
All right, let's talk about Mayra.
Hold on.
Oh.
Yeah.
We got to take a break.
Yes, we do have to take a break because we're out of time on this segment. So we have very important information we need to share with you right here.
Save the date for Boots on the Ground. It's an awesome pro-life conference coming up January 28th and 29th. Come to Austin, Texas with us to march to the Capitol to celebrate the end of Roe v. Wade, to commemorate Roe v. Wade, and to learn from expert pro-life speakers on how to keep Texas pro-life forever. Come to Austin with us and hear from Ryan Baumberger, our keynote speaker who shares his personal story, and so much more. Book your tickets today, bootsonthegroundtx.com. See you in January.
The Supreme Court just overturned Roe v. Wade. This is a historic moment. Now we have a bold, groundbreaking agenda for the next steps. First, we have to enforce our laws and make sure liberal district attorneys don't give abortionists a free pass. Second, we need to expand the life-saving alternatives to abortion program. And third, we need to save hospital patients. Do you believe in this vision? Go to texasrighttolife.com/stand to donate now and save lives.
Welcome back, friends. So we also need to talk about recent hypocrisies on the left. I know they
That doesn't narrow it down.
I suppose it's true. They abound, don't they? So recently, the left side has been very salty about Mayra Flores. Now, she was a candidate who flipped a blue district red.
Congressional district
It was
in
a
South Texas.
Yes, that had been held for 100 some odd years by the Dems. It's now a Republican seat. Nancy is having a hissy fit. It's about all she does these days.
Yep.
And the media is calling her a far right Latina.
Not,
She doesn't even get the X anymore.
Yeah.
They don't
No.
give her the Latinx anymore. That she's just a Latina.
yeah,
That
so
whole
sad.
weird
So
Latinx thing.
bigoted. New York Times.
Yes. That was a
Sad.
couple days ago. One day ago, GOP's wildest dream. 5 days ago, 6 days ago, the rise of Mayra Flores and the rise of the far right Latina.
Yeah, they're spending.
Awesome.
Yeah, New York Times is spending a lot of time talking about Mayra Flores. It's pretty great, actually.
It is. But you just contrast that with how they treated AOC, who's also a Latina. And whenever she first won her office, they were like, wow, it's this rising star that brings a voice to the Hispanic community. And this is so great. Fresh face, like just glowing with praises for AOC, who is a socialist. But poor Mayra Flores, she is a far right Latina.
They use, talking about the hypocrisy, they use gender and race as a means for their policy agenda. It's not what is good for those, what policy outcomes are good for those communities. It is, we're going to herald your race and gender if you agree with us, and we're going to crucify you if you do not.
Yep.
Yeah.
You mean it's about the color of their skin and not the content of their character?
Sad. Wow.
Yeah. She's great, though. I mean, it's cool that actually the New York Times, they covered basically how she used to be a Democrat. A lot of Hispanics are or were Democrats. And they go into why she changed. And they talk about the actual reasons. And that's kind of amazing, honestly, because most leftist news agencies don't talk about the reasons why. They just give their own opinions about why they disagree.
Must be racist.
Tell us
Right.
what some of those reasons were.
Well, the fact that she's pro-life, she wanted better, she wants border security. She talks about, actually, this was really cool. It was kind of a whole expose on how how Latin American families on the border want border security because they recognize that they immigrated legally and now a lot of these people are immigrating illegally, and that it's dangerous for the immigrants, it's dangerous for the communities. They're bringing in it makes it easier for drug lords to cross. It makes it easier for that truck to get across with that. How many people died in that truck? 46
nearly,
people.
Nearly
that
50.
if we had stronger border security, those things would not be happening. It would de-incentivize the drug lords. And so she's laying it out there. And New York Times is just interviewing her about it. So she's getting all this airtime explaining her real thoughts on the real reasons why these communities are conservative now. And I'm like,
because they always have been conservative.
Yeah.
But those policy ends are reflected in the Republican Party, not in the Democratic Party.
Yeah, and get this is the best part. I was like, good job, New York Times. Even though they put this whole tone on like, this is so complex and we don't understand why this is happening. But which cracks me up. But at least they're accurately depicting what Mayra Flores thinks. And Mayra Flores said, we want to help these immigrants. We care for them. We want to protect them. They are like us. But it's so dangerous for them to cross the way it is right now. And so the New York Times acknowledged, oh, these conservative people actually do care about the immigrants. And I was like, no kidding.
Yeah.
We are pro-life. We're pro-human. We want to care for all people. We just don't want the drug lords to come across too.
Well, we are seeing that like these Hispanic communities are very Catholic. They're very faith-focused. Mm-hmm. They have pro-life beliefs. They have conservative-leaning beliefs. They've just been told, like, well, we vote Democrat. Well, why? My family's from up my mom's family. They're from up north, and that's how she grew up and came down here and went, oh, wait, that's not how this works.
But the abortion on demand, post-birth abortions, that's just getting too crazy for anybody.
Yeah. But it's really important, like what you were talking about a second ago about how, your beliefs are really shaped by your community. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, well, mine are not because I'm just like so much smarter than everybody else.
Yes, you're the smartest individual.
Yes. Everybody says that about themselves, but in reality, everybody's opinions are shaped in some way by the people around them. And that's why it's important to have a church and hang around people who are at church. So that way you're not getting lost kind of in the weeds and doing some bad things. Sure. And so that's why it's important to speak out about the pro-life issue, because if you're not, then the other segments kind of where we get our content, our culture, people, all of the leftist teachers and pastors. I saw a video compilation last week about pastors who were just so saying like abortion is a human right and the Bible says this. And I'm just like, you need a different Bible. I don't think you have the right one. Anyways, so there's this importance of speaking out about life because that's going to shape the views of the people around you too. And I think that there's something important that Mayra Flores has said since she won. Her big slogan, her campaign slogan is pro-God, pro-family, and pro-country. And whenever she's campaigning and going door to door asking for people's votes, and they say, oh, well, I'm a Democrat, like I can't vote for a Republican, she asks them, are you pro-life? Are you pro-God? Are you pro-family? And they'll say, yes, of course. Well, then are you loyal to God or are you loyal to a party? And that's the big question of either your beliefs are going to conform to this party, and I just check this box every November because that's what I'm supposed to do, or you really look at your beliefs and examine one party is especially hostile to these core beliefs, and, are you going to just bow down to that?
Yep.
That's good.
Go Mayra Flores.
Yeah, a historic win in South Texas, and there's been a lot of resources put into the South Texas region, and we're seeing the fruits of that. And it's something we have known, we have seen, we have participated in as an organization, and that the pro-life message in the Hispanic community really resonates, and we're seeing that.
That's awesome.
Yep. So we've pointed out hypocrisies, we've pointed out nonsense at the federal level, and I think that's about all the nonsense we have for today, for the moment.
Right.
They'll give us more in the next couple of days.
No doubt.
But next week's already packed with a plan for what we're talking about. We have a guest. Sylvia Johnson will be here from Pregnancy Center. Which pregnancy center is she at here?
5th Ward Pregnancy Center.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So
She's awesome. She's going to talk about what they do, how to get involved, and then the abortion pill reversal. They're really working hard at their pregnancy center to help people with abortion pill reversals, and she's got a lot of great stories about that.
She is going to have some good stories, and it's going to be an awesome show. I'm really excited to get to sit down and talk to her. So on that note, we're going to have to wrap up today, but we will see you guys next week. We appreciate all of your likes, subscribes, shares, hearts, thumbs ups, and comments. So please keep those coming. Share this with your friends and change some hearts and minds, change the world, save some lives. We'll see you guys next week.